Starting off with the worst evolution in the game, we got the Evolved Goblin Drill. Ever since the Evolved Tesla has gotten a buff, the Evolved Goblin Drill has now taken its place as the worst building evolution in the game, and also the worst evolution in the game in general, because ever since it has gotten its death damage removed, it's not even that much better than the regular drill, which is why there's way more people using the regular Goblin Drill and not its evolution. Next is going to be the Evolved Wizard, which is also going in F tier. Ever since the shield as well as the knockback of the Wizard has been nerfed, he has just never been the same, and he's just not a versatile evolution either. The Evolved P.E.K.K.A is going to be the last one going in F tier. Ever since the regular P.E.K.K.A has gotten her range nerf, that has greatly affected the Evolved P.E.K.K.A as well. Both the regular P.E.K.K.A and the Evolved P.E.K.K.A significantly worse, and just one of the worst evolutions in the game. The Evolved Snowball is going to be the start of D tier. After all the buffs the Snowball has gotten, it is finally viable now. You can actually use it inside of things like Goblin Drill to move all the units backwards, and also, of course, in Giant Graveyard like it used to be, but by no means is it a strong evolution. It's just way more viable than it used to be. This might be surprising to you guys, but the Evolved Dark Goblin is going in D tier. People thought it was going to be one of the most broken evolutions. It turns out a lot of Cycle players don't use it. They prefer running a lot of other evolutions over it, like maybe the Evo Wallbreakers, the Evolved Cannon, the Evolved Tesla even. Just a bunch of other units that go well in Cycle decks just because it can get arrowed and logged super easily. The Evolved Bomber also going to be going in D tier. Ever since they made it 2 cycles instead of 1, for the most part, you only see it occasionally inside of heavier things. You can't really use it in Cycle anymore. You just see it from time to time in Giant and things along those lines. For example, we're going to start C tier with the Evolved Lumberjack. Now that it's 2 cycles instead of 1, even though the Ghost deals more damage after the set of balance changes, we can't deny that it is significantly worse. This is a bit of a prediction, but I think for sure he is going to be way worse than he was before, and just not in every deck any longer, and instead maybe only inside of heavier things like Golem and Lumberloon Freeze, where he actually belongs. The E-Drag is going to be going in C tier as well. This is one that really fell off quite a lot. For some reason, there's hardly any decks using the Evolve E-Drag anymore. It's just heavy things occasionally. Maybe Golem, you'll see it from time to time. But with all the lightning in the meta, it's very difficult for it to get value, and it's also very useless, of course, against Cycle decks. The Evolved Cage is also not in an amazing spot in this current meta, because a lot of the Recruit players are running a Recruit deck without the Cage. In fact, almost all of them are. They don't have a building, and a lot of Graveyard players prefer running the Evolved Cannon, so the Cage has kind of fallen out of the meta a bit just because there's stronger buildings at the moment. In fact, even the Evolved Tesla, after the buff where the pulse damage does 18% more damage, I would even say it's used slightly more than the Cage, because the Tesla, of course, is going to be pretty good inside of Expo, and also you can use it with things like Goblin Drill. In the Evolved Musketeer, she's definitely a little bit better as well. A lot of people realize she's better in things besides just Giant Graveyard. There's even some people using her now inside of Loon and Bridge Spam. So there's 3 different types of decks you can play her in besides just Loon Cycle, and it was pretty much only that for the longest time. The Evolved Goblin Giant is going to be going in C tier as well. He used to be one of the most broken evolutions, but then we've had a meta shift. I think a big part of it is because of the Evo Cannon, of course, and then also the nerf that he got a while ago definitely helped tone him down, and he's not nearly as broken as he used to be. Evolved Skeletons, of course, now that there's 3 of them instead of 4, that's going to change a lot of interactions. You can't send 2 in one lane, 2 in the other anymore. A lot of Cycle decks prefer running Goblins or Guards over them now, so they choose to use other evolutions instead of them, which really goes to show how much worse they are. But of course, you definitely can use them as an evolution of choice if you really want to. We're going to start off B tier with the Evolve Mortar. It's honestly a very balanced evolution. When you think of one of the most balanced evolutions in the game, I would say it's the Evo Mortar at the moment. Of course, it pairs pretty well with the Miner if you want to use it. And if you get a lock, it's going to get significantly more damage than a regular mortar. But of course, things like Earthquake and Tank's going to be just as good against it as a regular mortar. So it's really situational, kind of like the Evolved Mega Knight. Even with how bad the Evolved P.E.K.K.A is, the Evo Mega Knight isn't as good as you would expect. There's a lot of good tools to counter it, like the Prince, for example, and even the new Boss Bandit. Going to be a fairly nice counter to that Mega Knight, which I think helps keep him in check. Evolve Firecracker, she's in a decent spot in this current meta. Of course, with Hog, she's going to be very good. You can use her in a couple other things if you want as well, maybe with the Goblin Drill or in some sort of Mega Knight deck. And of course, mid-ladder players are always going to hate her. The Evolved Barbarian's way better than they usually are. People started realizing how good they are inside of Bridge Spam, Elixir Golem, and even a lot of Lava Hound players are actually playing them now instead of the Evolved Valkyrie and especially the Evolved Bomber. So that is another switch up that has happened as well. The Evolved Royal Recruits are going to be next. They're, of course, a very annoying evolution. A lot of people using them without a building, just using them with the Evolved Wall Breakers, spam cards with the Goblin Gang, the Firecracker, you name it, just a bunch of spam with the recruits. Some people even using the Hog Rider with the recruits, a combination I thought we'd never see, but somehow in 2025, that's what we're seeing. Evolved Archers are going to be next. They got a lot better as well recently. In fact, the Evo Archers finished #1 in the world last season inside of Expo. So good inside of other decks besides just Giant Graveyard. They're also pretty decent inside of Bridge Spam decks as well, just like the Evolved Battle Ram, which has made a return recently inside of a lot of Bridge Spam decks. And it's not even Bridge Spam decks with the Mega Knight or the P.E.K.K.A. It's more so Bridge Spam decks with the Cannon Cart, for example, and the Evolved Barbarians. There's been some new ones with the Dagger Duchess and the Elixir Collector, which has been pretty interesting. The Evolved Valkyrie is going to be the end of B tier. Surprisingly, the Evolved Valkyrie falling a bit short compared to the Knight in this current meta, which is why I only have her in B tier compared to A, but of course she's going to be very good, particularly inside of log bait decks and occasionally Lava Hound, but a lot of Lava Hound players are actually using other evolutions over the Evolved Valkyrie. The Evolved Royal Giant is going to be at the start of A tier. He's just amazing in this current meta because there's just so many cards that are great in this meta that pair well with him. For example, the Monk. So many players at the top of ladder last season were using RG Monk, a very OP combination, as well as the Evolved Hunter, one of the strongest evolutions in the game, which pairs amazingly well with the Evolved Royal Giant, of course. So it's just a very good meta for him. I don't think he's necessarily a broken evolution, though. The Evolved Goblin Barrel is going to be next. The Dagger Duchess helps keep it in check. I think if it wasn't for a lot of people still using the Dagger Duchess even after the nerf she got, it would probably be an S tier, but of course, it's so OP, especially when you have a tank down in both lanes. You got to defend both barrels. Way better than the regular Goblin Barrel, without a doubt, especially in double and triple elixir when there's so much going on the map. This is a little bit of a prediction because it's still pretty new, but I'm going to have the Evolved Executioner in A tier. I think it's definitely an above average evolution. We pretty much can say that for a fact. I think the main thing keeping it from being S tier, to be honest, is the fact that the Tornado got a nerf in the balance changes when he came out, which is helping keep him in check. Otherwise, I think he'd definitely be an S tier, but of course he's going to be very good in Hog X NATO. He's going to be, I've even seen some people using him with the Royal Giant, which is kind of interesting. And then of course inside of Graveyard, that is going to be the main place he shines. And then maybe inside some balloon decks as well. The Evolved Ice Spirit's going to be next, even though it only freezes things twice instead of 3 times. It has still proven to be by far one of the best evolutions in the game without a doubt, especially inside of cycle decks, whether it's Royal Hog Cycle, Goblin Drill Cycle, Hog Cycle, Expo, you name it. Just a lot of different decks you can run it in. Evolved Knight is going to be next, an amazing tank for only 3 elixir. Definitely a bit stronger than the Evolved Valkyrie as a tank in this current meta. Absolutely phenomenal inside of things like Graveyard, of course. Also Log Bait, Goblin Drill, Expo, so a lot of the cycle decks, but then also some of the control and bridge spam decks as well. Maybe you'll see it with the Evolved Battle Ram too. So you got a lot of options as far as the Knight's concerned. A very versatile card. The Evolved Hunter is going to be next. Definitely one of the best evolutions in the game. I think it's a big part of the reason why the Evolved Royal Giant has made a massive return. A big part of it is because of the Evo Hunter. Just a very, very OP combination. The main problem, the only reason why the Evolved Hunter isn't S tier is just because it's not insanely versatile. You can't just plop it into any deck in the game. It needs to combine well with other cards in the deck, which is what's preventing it from being S tier. Evolved Zap is going to be at the end of A tier. You could argue it's S tier, but I think currently, after the balance changes, it got toned down a bit, and I would say it's more so A tier now, because we're not seeing as much of that giant Dagger Duchess deck after the recent set of balance changes, which is where we saw the Evolve Zap a lot, and not a ton of Lava, at least at the moment, but I would say the Evo Zap in beatdown decks is, of course, very incredible. Majority of beatdown decks do have the Evolve Zap in it, many of them anyway, and it just allows you to get a lot of stun, helping you break things like the Inferno Drag, the Inferno Tower, and you can kill a Firecracker with it, or Evo Archers, which is very, very valuable and underrated. I feel like this is a little bit of a prediction, guys, but from what I've seen so far with how many people are running the Evo Bats in the top 200, I'm going to start S tier with the Evolved Bats. Hear me out. I know a lot of casual players and you guys watching this video are probably going to be like, what in the world? Why the heck would the Evo Bats be an S tier? The reason why is because of the Tornado nerf as well as the Rage nerf. Those two things make the Evo Bats significantly better. The Tornado as well as the Rage were commonly used so often, and those were both very good counters to the Evo Bats. The other thing is, the arrows were recently nerfed as well. All these small spells getting a nerf indirectly buff the Evo Bats, which is why there's been so many people using them at the start of the season so far inside of things like Mortar Bait. And then, of course, minor wall breakers with the Evo Bats. Mega Knight, Evo Bats, for example. Elixir Golem, Evo Bats. There's a lot of different decks with the Evo Bats because people are really capitalizing off of these spells that were nerfed. You have to react even quicker now if you want to be able to kill them with something like a Rage. So they're just significantly better than they were before because most people are not going to be able to react in time. You almost have to predict it before they heal up at all. The Evolved Wall Breakers are going to be next. Ever since they got that explosion damage buff, they have just been significantly better. They're even better after the set of balance changes where the Dagger Duchess got a 5% damage nerf, because the Dagger Duchess was probably debatably one of the best counters to the Evolved Wall Breakers, but now that that's worse, they're even better than they already were after that buff they got a few balance changes ago where they're dealing 50% more damage when they blow up. So you can get tons of value on them defensively, not even just on offense, making them incredibly versatile with, of course, the Miner, with the Recruits, with the Mega Knight, with just a lot of different combinations. The Goblin Drill as well in bait decks. They're just a very obnoxious card, and I would definitely say they're S tier at the moment. But doesn't come close to how strong the Evo Cannon is. Without a doubt, Evo Cannon, the best card in the game, no questions asked. It's very good inside of cycle decks. Maybe you want to play it with the Goblin Drill, the Hog Rider, the Royal Hogs, or a minor Magic Archer deck with the Evo Cannon, or maybe you want to run it inside of some control deck, like Graveyard, for example. You know, heavier things, even. You could run it in E-Giant if you really want to. So the point is, it can work in Cycle, it can work in Control, and it can work in Beatdown. It's incredibly versatile. You're getting 9 bombs dropping from the sky that you literally can use on offense, not just on defense. And when you get in double and triple elixir, when there's like 50 things going at once, it's getting like infinite value. It doesn't even matter what the matchup is. It doesn't really matter if you're playing against a cycle deck or a beatdown deck. It's like getting value no matter what, especially as the game progresses, which is why it's absolutely broken, and it probably needs a nerf, without a doubt. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you guys are not subscribed already. You can use creator code BOSS to support me in any Supercell game, and be sure to let me know in the comments below what you guys would change about this ranking. And thanks again. Until next time, guys.